Okay? We're like a bunch of seven macaws. So the whole concept of seven macaw has to be wiped out, and then the original God inside of us has to go through a portal of consciousness. And that portal of consciousness will change us into our seven chakras of flowing, and we all become enlightened. They're saying that that portal of consciousness is December 21st, 2012, or thereabouts. I don't actually think it's a point in time. I think it's a field of energy. I'm saying we have a chance at this point in time to stop becoming seven macaws and become Kukulkan, or the enlightened Christed one, have a level of cosmic consciousness. That's literally what's being said. Now, the Mayans were very good at writing all this down. They wrote many different codexes. There's literally thousands upon thousands. But unfortunately, when the first Jesuit priests came along, they thought that they looked at these pyramids and knew they couldn't build them, so it had to be the work of the devil. And so they burnt them all. Until literally the one guy who was burning them all went to the Vatican with some of these things and said all these great deeds, and they put him in prison. Then they realized there was all these magic formulas in this stuff. They sent him back to collect all the information. So right now there's only theoretically 4 codexes around, but we do know you can get the Emerald Tablet. They probably have it out there, written by Thoth, even though it was found in Honduras. And there's the Golden Codex. These are giving us the pathways of what's happening. But the one thing they couldn't burn is the steles. The steles throughout the Mayan area have all kinds of information. This one here I think is really good. This one here actually is in Koba, and you can see this guy holding this laser gun and he's melting rock. So they had a form of technology that's very cool. But on the side of this stone there is this dating system. And this dating system talks about the beginning of the universe. And the beginning of the universe to the Mayans, these hairy barbarians that lived in the back jungle places, they said the beginning of the universe was 16.4 billion years ago. By coincidence, the same number that Professor Hawking came up with at the beginning of the Big Bang. Now we know that they didn't copy off Professor Hawking because they dated this piece of artwork at 820 AD, or CE. And I don't think Professor Hawking took his wheelchair and went down that rickety old path, because it's hard to get to. It's a hike, to say the least. But I'm saying that their vision went all the way back to the beginning of the universe. That's how it all started. And the whole big change happens here again. This change has happened at least 5 times in the last 26,000 years. Because what they have is a thing called a sun. S-U-N. And one sun literally lasts for 5,125 years. That's a sun. It ends up being 13 Baktun. So how do we get all these dates? Where do all these things come from? This is what a lot of people think is the Mayan calendar. By the way, it's an Aztec calendar. There is no copies of the Mayan calendar around that we know of, but the Aztecs came after and they copied it, so we got a fairly good idea. But the Mayan calendar literally is multiple calendars nested into each other. Here's the mundane calendar, 360 days, and the Zolkin, the sacred calendar, and they rotate together, and it takes 52 years for this cycle to come back to the same place. So their long year was 52 years. And they went through this very thing. That's called a ton. And then you get Katuns, Baktuns, and all these various things until we get to the place where we have 13 Baktun, which is 5,125 years ago. So where do the Mayans say they came from? Don Harondo says they come from Atlantis. And Atlantis sunk into the ocean 5,125 years ago, and some of them escaped to the Yucatan. Some of them went over to Egypt. And they moved to these various places. And they say actually part of the Mayan ruins and the part of the Mayan thing was really part of Atlantis at some point in time. Some of us lived here. And he makes no bones about it. That's where they came from. And they originally came from ETs before that. They've been around a lot longer than that. So there's not just 2 calendars. There's at least 20 calendars. This is the most complex one I've been able to find. It literally has 9 calendars nested into itself, rotating. Talking about higher math. Interestingly enough, they're all circles, they're all wheels, and the Mayans never used the wheel in the construction. So the theory is, how did they move all those stones? They didn't have the wheel, they didn't have beasts of burden. You can't tell me that someone wasn't playing with these wheels and one fall on the ground and roll across the floor and go, geez, that'd be a good way to move those 60-ton blocks around. But it was sacred, they couldn't use it. They had other ways. Was it levitation? I don't know. How to build these great big huge pyramids. But literally, the idea was that we are lining up with the center of the galaxy. That's literally what we're talking about. Again, I don't think it's a specific day. I think it's a field of energy. As I pointed out, this really has to do with the progression of the equinox. And there's many different cultures around the planet that have this. The Egyptians have it. You can find it in the Greek mythology and stuff like this. And literally, it's our tilt of our planet. Because we're on an axis, we wobble, and it takes 26,000 years for us to go through one wobble. And for the Mayans, that happens to be exactly 5 suns. This is why we say we're moving into the age of Aquarius. That's where it's facing. At the same time, this is why in the Hindu mythology, we have the Kali Yuga and the Sat Yuga. We go through these various things. These periods of 26,000 years is literally a period of spiritual embryogenesis. It's literally a period of our embryogenesis of being birthed into a higher level of consciousness. So I'm saying this process, instead of being like the movie 2012 versus Armageddon, it literally is a possibility of a portal into golden consciousness. Pretty cool when you think about it, actually. How do we get there? What do we do? So one of the biggest questions I get asked, because I've been teaching these Mayan courses for a long time, is what's going to happen on December 21st, 2012? My standard answer is, first of all, I don't believe it's a day. I think it's a period of time. And I think it can happen anywhere between now and 2015. And come on. We're already within one arc of measurement on a circle to the center of the galaxy right now. We don't have to worry. I mean, the center of the galaxy is not a pinprick. It literally is millions of light years across. It's huge. Okay. But what's going to happen then is there's literally going to be 7 billion different things happening at that point in time. One for each one of us. If we believe in Armageddon, that's what we get. If we believe in holy, 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 that's what we get. We get the process that we see and feel at that point in time. That's the cool perception. By the way, the Bon tradition, which is the ancient shamanic tradition in Tibet before the Buddhists, they believe that 50% of the people between now and 2012 are going to commit suicide because they're going to go into such a deep depression. That's pretty horrific. That might not happen. That was a prophecy a long time ago. So literally, we line up with the center of the galaxy. Our sun, our earth, line up with Hamunku. That's literally the process. And it has to do with the mathematical wobble of both of our universe and our wobble and how we work. What we're starting to learn, and physics is proving this, that we live in a fractal universe. And we're all part of a fractal phenomena. One of the nice things in a holographic fractal, if a concept happens at any level, it's experienced by the whole hologram. So all it takes, it could be a little ant having a concept and the whole fractal changes. We can change the consciousness of the field around us depending on what we project. If we project Armageddon, that's what will happen around us. If we project holy, 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 that's what we get. So if we look for a golden age, that's what we get. And that's really what it comes down to. We live in an interactive fractal universe. And this is being proven virtually without a shadow of a doubt by the physicists, everyone from Einstein to Wheeler or whatever. So in the Mayan concept, everything happens in a time and a place. But they put in a different thing than we do in our culture. They put in a concept of personal intent. Okay? So incidences happen not just in a time and place. They happen because what you intend. And they have another axis on here, and it literally is divine plan. So we want to line our intent up with divine plan. And then we get to become Quetzalcoatl. We get to have our 7 chakras of shining. We get to go to cosmic consciousness. That's literally the process that we're talking about. That is the level of expanding our consciousness. And that's literally what the Mayan symbol for that is this 8-pied sky phenomena, which represents time, place, personal intent, and divine plan. And we have to be able to match up with that. One of my friends and a great author in this whole area, and she's got several books out there I saw, Barbara Han Clow, she says that we're going through this process really soon. And in my last few conversations with her, and she's written this down in books, she's literally saying within the next 6 months or so, we should be visited by a bunch of ETs. I don't know if you noticed, but in November of 2009, the Vatican said that. When the Vatican comes out and says we're going to have solid proof within the next year of ET formations, that's astounding. Because it's not like they're the most forthright group of people.